What's up, Bucs fans? We're back at it here at Pirate Parlay, presented by the Sick Podcast Network. I'm so excited about our next guest today. We had Yaya Diaby on the other day. Awesome stuff. Great, humble player. Really, you can tell that he's going to be a real stud on this team if you can put everything together. Got a little bit know him a little bit better as well off the field, which is a lot of fun. We're going to do the same thing today. Bucs are in a bye week, so there's no game to preview. So we'll jump right into it. I'm going to bring my next guest on. I'm very excited to welcome Buccaneers offensive coordinator Dave Canales on to Pirate Parlay.
Turn up your volume, because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Pirate Parlay.
Battle intercepted, picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world.
The sickest Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. It's going to be sick.
I'm so excited to have him on here. He's a good friend of the program, and we're happy to bring him back on here.
You got me?
Dave, yeah, I got you. How are we doing, my man?
Oh, man, doing great. Just catching my breath a little bit here on the bye week. Just getting prepped for a nice long run, but a good start. And guys' heads are kind of in the right spot, as we figure out who we are. But not bad to come out of the first 4 games 3-1.
Right, as that's what I was saying. How does it feel to be 3-1 on your first season as a play caller?
Shoot, man. I mean, by no means are us as a group just being where we thought we were going to be. We have so much more to go to grow through fundamentally, learning the system. But I mean, you can see the pieces that we have, coming into the season and the conversations in the off season. I mean, just being excited about the receivers, the young guys we added to the group, and the O-line really gelling. And, of course, Baker Mayfield right in the middle of it, just really bringing it all together. So stoked about it.
Yeah, you can tell this young team is starting to really gel together. You got a lot of young pieces, some veteran pieces on there as well. Going into that week 4 game against the Saints, is it a rivalry? Is it not a rivalry? I mean, after this past week's results in the last couple of games, who knows? But did you feel different energy for that week? Was it in the locker room? Because I sure feel it on the outside, like with the fans and everything.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a shift, and some, especially the veteran guys who have played them a bunch, and just kind of looking at the history in the last couple of years, there have been some real battles going down there. And, I was raised a little different in the NFL. We kind of, we looked at like our division, the NFC West, like what a crazy division at any given time. The Niners, the Rams, the Cardinals, were the Seahawks were. It was such a good division, and every time we played in division, we could feel that kind of tension building up. And so, just trying to keep the guys focused on, my big message to our group was, this is the Saints. They just happen to be the next opponent on a road to becoming the 2023 Bucs offense. And what a great opportunity to play in division. But also, guys, let's not make it about them. Let's not make it about who's on that defense or especially their offense. Like, let's not make it about them at all. Let's make it about taking this next opportunity to find our identity, play the kind of ball that we want to be proud of as Bucs offense.
You mentioned that identity and kind of jump a little ahead of here, but what is identity? Ultimately, what is it? We know there's, a balance between the run game and the passing game, that marriage of the two, but ultimately, what do you expect this team's identity to be? I mean, we've had 4 games so far. You've seen enough of, I think, what they're good at, what they're not good at. Where do you see that trending as an offensive identity?
Honestly, it starts up front. And kind of looking at our run game to date, our run game has been okay. It's been steady. Mostly we've blocked it up the way we want it to. The running backs, again, still kind of growing into the feel for the different styles of runs that we're looking for. But it definitely felt like coming out of the Eagles game, that drive we had late in the game really showcased how our offensive line can really pass pro and give us an opportunity to spread the field, to get the ball vertically down the field a little bit more. We took a few shots in the games prior to that, but that Philly drive really gave me confidence, Baker confidence, the whole group, like, hey, we can be multiple and spread this thing out, make defenses defend the whole field by taking a little bit more of an attacking pass approach in the Saints game. We still had our runs in there, but so it's kind of still too early to tell what that identity is going to be, but we certainly learned we got a new toy, we have a new piece to this puzzle that we're going to be able to utilize to our advantage.
When you look at the run game, obviously not the success that you wanted right out the get, but you can see the opportunities there. You can see just a block held a little bit longer here, just a little quick vision over here, and some of these runs are really taking off. One of the things about the blocking, it seems like in a lot of the runs, some of the guys are missing their second assignments. How do you clean that up to allow those guys to break those long ones?
Yeah, I think finishing blocks is huge, right? So like the one term that I came into this job in February talking to Coach Bowles was staying connected in the run game, where you run your feet and your hands stay on your guy through the echo of the whistle. Well, that's all muscle memory because different runs have different angles.
Right.
And the defense has these gap fits, but like if it's a wide zone, a mid zone, tight zone, a duo, a gap scheme, all of these angles change. And so as we're running these different run types, guys just getting used to that retrace mechanism of the defender where he starts to go left, then quickly he reverses going back right where the running back is and being able to like keep that backhand engaged and run the guy up the field. Those things take time. And then of course for the backs, if we block you through the line of scrimmage to the second level, that's where that innate ability to set up runs becomes critical. And that comes with time. That comes with hitting a downhill, a mid zone, a wide zone, a perimeter run, getting out there in space. And how do I set this block up, or how do I set this unblocked defender up? Because you can't block everybody every play.
Right.
We're not accounting for certain guys on certain run plays. That guy belongs to the running back. And so I think it's a combination of all those. I'll be honest with you. It took us about 2 or 3 years to get the run game just humming in Seattle, early on. And then we changed bodies, and then it takes you, 5 or 6 games to retune things. Even when Shane came from LA with the mid-zone schemes, really it took us half a season in 2021 for the backs and the line to trust the rhythm and the angles of the runs. So this thing is going to take time. And in the meantime, I got to try to do a good job of utilizing all of our talent to make yards, get first downs while we're putting this core thing together.
Right. And you look at the runs, the majority of these runs are in between the tackles. Is there a reason why there's not as many outside perimeter runs? Is that kind of a philosophy of yours? It's more in between the tackles, and what's the benefit there opposed to outside runs?
Yeah, number one, it's just not our system. So living in the toss crack perimeter run type of deal, like to me those are change-ups for our system. Really the only action off of that is like a open side boot the other way, or maybe a perimeter screen backside, where when you're running in between the tackles, mid zone, tight zone, duo, you're making the inside backers have to play their gaps, safeties play their gaps. Now we got all this space behind the guys. And so you can attack that void, you can attack horizontally with some of those things. And so that's just not in our core of what we do. And then the other part too, with perimeter runs that you're talking about, is historically, those are big little runs. It'll go for, I've seen it go for 70 at times blocked up perfectly. I've seen it go for -1 and -3 and 2 a lot of time. So it's kind of a feast or famine thought process where the mid-zone combos allows you to get up on guys and get positive plays, efficient runs more often.
Last thing about the run game, and then I'll move on from that. But first down runs, the benefits and the drawbacks to it. You guys seem like you're more efficient on first down when you're passing. I know getting those chunk yards, 3-4 yards on first down can certainly be beneficial to set you up. What's the benefit of first down runs versus second down runs, especially when efficiency shows towards passing on first down?
Yeah, good. So can't have one without the other. We are efficient in the pass game because we run the ball on first down. So we're very balanced. We just did our self-scout, and we're like darn near 50-50, on first play of series, earned first down. Last game I got a little bit lopsided, but in terms of looking at the numbers, it's a very balanced deal. So defenses can't really say they're going to do this or they're going to do that. So that's where the efficiency of the passes come from, running it some. And then where I'd like to see the runs be more efficient is when we block it up well, we get the guy to the second level. Let's start breaking tackles and making those big chunk plays every once in a while that are going to happen for us, I think.
You mentioned self-scouting. That's on my list of things to ask you here. Because the bye week, when I looked at the bye week and I saw, okay, new quarterback, new system, new scheme, a lot of new players at different positions, this could probably come at a great time. If things aren't going well, you have that chance to self-scout, evaluate, and kind of hopefully turn the ship around. If things are going well, okay, what is working for us? How can we improve those things? And how can we be more efficient in doing those things going forward? Lengthwise, it sucks because you guys have 13 games to play. And what's even worse is your mini bye week, because you have a Thursday night football, is in 2 weeks. And so it's not later in the season. So it's really, you're getting your bye and your mini bye within 3 weeks of each other, which is not fun for players. But self-scouting is huge, especially this early in the season. What is you mentioned a second ago, but what is some of the biggest things that you saw when you personally as a play caller, and then as a team that you look back, okay, like this is working, this is not, this is, without obviously giving away game plans and stuff.
Sure. I think at this point, it's really more learning about what our guys can do. What is Baker really good at? Because, what's happened for me over the course of years in the NFL is quarterbacks will kind of lie to you about what they're good at in camp. Not with their mouth, but actually with their accuracy, their rhythm and timing and throwing in practice. It's just different when you get into a game on Sunday. It is. And it is every year. And that's where we had to kind of take an honest look at. We've got all these accumulated reps throughout camp on these concepts that just aren't yielding much for us right now, and for example, like there's a couple of play action passes that I don't think we completed very many in training camp, and we're doing fantastic on them in the games, and vice versa in certain areas of the red zone and third down of things we thought we were going to count on that just don't look like they fit us. So for me, it was a great opportunity to evaluate our players and what they do well. And we got some good stuff in the run game with our line running right or left, different styles of runs, both directions, at a 3 technique versus at the shade, at the safety versus away. There's all these different things to look at objectively. So we're learning those things. And then for me personally, just kind of growing through, like, what is our balance going to be, and is it the under center run game, play action game, or is it more of a gun attack with run game and play action and screens and, which, like, for me is like, oh, cool, this stuff's showing up for us. We're making some big plays in the pass game. Our runs are ripping, when we get into the gun, and we can throw the ball quick at any time. So, just some different things emerging like that. And I think, just probably, one thing I mentioned in my interview the other day was, for me, just learning how to adjust in the run game midstream, where I don't have to wait till the half to kind of see what's happening and make adjustments. That's just where I just need more reps, man. I just need more games, more quarters, Goody and I, more conversations in between drives, to be able to, like, really see what this defense's plan of attack is against our core runs.
And then just counter it. And in live time instead of a
Yeah.
chess. Right.
Yeah.
One of the things you talked about making those adjustments already. One of the big things I noticed is earlier on in the season there was more 12 personnel based. It seems the
Yeah.
last couple of games you've switched more to 11 personnel based. Just
Yeah.
kind of wondering why that switch. Obviously, efficiency probably part of the reason, but what was part of that reasoning to move to more of an 11 personnel attack?
Yeah, just game of averages, so you look at the Eagles and look at the Saints, teams running the ball against their five-man fronts hasn't been great. So you got to do it a little bit. You got to be able to do it to be balanced and to be able to open up the rest of the stuff, so keep them guessing. But there's just a way to play that, and trying to be smart about the averages, and if you get into 11 personnel, they want to keep base out there. Well, we'd love that, with our group of 11 personnel throwing the ball. So,
Right.
So teams should be like kind of nervous about just going that route also. So, it's just trying to even out and play the averages and say, hey, these things look really good. So maybe tilt your game plan one way or the other based on your advantage.
One of the things too about the offensive game plan, you kind of see things. It's there's been enough games now where we can see kind of your adjustments in live time and through games, which has been really fun to watch. And you're really open and honest about it too, especially in those press. You guys out there watch his press conferences. If you don't learn as much as I do every time, it's just amazing, the candid ability to not give anything away, but to explain why and what you're doing. It's a night and day difference from last year, but we won't get into that.
I appreciate it, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot of play action recently. What's the philosophy on play action? You're using it at one of the highest rates in the league, and the benefits of it. Obviously, we know you don't need the run game to set up play action. You guys are doing it successful, and the running game is still a work in process. What are the benefits? Can you overuse play action? Is it possible? I mean, there's no stats out there to show it, but I mean, what are the benefits of it? Why the switch over to it? And is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
Well, I think one of the cool parts about play action is it's not a straight pass rush from the defensive line. So they got to fit their gaps first. So that's the first part of it. It's kind of like what I explained to the linemen on the backside of play actions. It's kind of like the tide. It's going to go out, and then it's going to come back in, and then here comes the pass rush. Right. So you're talking about you're buying 3 seconds, 4 seconds, to get the quarterback's eyes down the field for him to evaluate the second and third level, to allow the route stems to set things up on their way down the field. So now you're not just running, speed cuts in the drop back game where the defensive line knows you're rushing. So there's an advantage there, definitely, and then of course, anytime you're sticking the ball out like you're going to give it to the back, it slows the inside defenders down so that then you can open up windows behind them. So there's a bunch of good reasons for it. It's something that's always been a part of what we did in Seattle, whether it's under center or in the gun. And we've had a good mix of that, but while we're developing our drop back, quick game, pass game, empty, all that stuff as it comes alive for us, the play action gives you a nice, good, balanced look.
Yeah. I mean, getting those defenders to pause for a moment makes a world of a difference. It just gives the quarterback, in this case Baker, just that second glance to maybe go through his progression, scan the field, see what he's got open. It seems like Baker, first of all, heck of a job. I mean, I don't know if you probably stay out of the news and the media and everything like that, but he's been lights out, one of the best quarterbacks in the league so far, especially at evading pressure. I don't know where that came from. He's like Houdini on the field recently.
Oh, he's fantastic.
But the system fits him like a glove. And I thought that'd be the case too. He had his best year in a derivative of this West Coast Kyle Shanahan, McVay style offense with Stefanski in 2020. And it's kind of the similar type of offense. And you can see him already. He feels at home in it. One thing I have noticed though is it looks like there are some struggles middle of the field. Sometimes where maybe he's not seeing the right thing or is too quick with it. Is it more of a outside the numbers, like comfort? Does he feel more comfortable throwing outside the numbers? Is it more of like a scheme situation? Is it just, there's ups and downs and ebbs and flows and, you know, highs and lows and tides with everything.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, he's a 6-foot quarterback. So
Right.
if your offensive line is, you know, 6'5" across the board, which ours is basically, you know, 6'5" across the board, if the center slides one way or the other, that could take the vision away from the quarterback. You know, we haven't really tried attacking the field the middle of the field as much. Our progressions kind of go through there. But I don't really, same kind of thing with Russ, you know, for 10 years, it was like, you know, if he has an open B gap or A gap, like he'll see it and he'll progress there. But, you know, for that, you know, style of quarterback, you know, you want to put progressions all over the field to kind of guarantee vision at any given time, you know. But over the middle, you know, it was a Philly game, you know, he rips the ball to Cade screaming over the middle of the field, like early in the game for about a, you know, 15 or 20 yard gain. So he'll see it at times, but I mean, it's just, all it is geometry, right? It's here.
All right.
You know, here's you know, here's Bake back here, you know, so sometimes if vision isn't there, he's going to have to move for vision, you know?
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, kind of like Chris on that crosser, you know?
Yeah.
Cutting his way across the middle of the field, finds him, boom, gone for 42 yards.
Right.
It was great. Some things, too, that I noticed is deep shots. You guys took some more in this past game, took some in the Philly game. But it looks like there's been some open looks, specifically in this game. DT was on a clear route in the game. It just was something that Baker didn't see. There was another one against Philly, I think, with Trey was going. First off, what about those guys? You got them doing an amazing job just clearing things out for Chris and Mike.
Right.
They do a phenomenal job. But as far as those deep shots, is that just kind of not who you guys are as an offense yet? Is it something that maybe should be, again, just not seeing the progressions right away and getting away from, or should we expect these things to kind of develop as the offense develops through the year?
Oh, yeah. Just the last thing you said. I mean, these are things we're building in and designing. And while I'm asking Baker to be efficient, be smart with the ball, first open guy gets the ball, a lot of times he's going to just take that first early completion.
Right.
We'll put those big shots on tape or on the pictures on the sideline and say, hey, look at this. We got space here. We got green grass. And that was a thing that, Gino, Russ always kind of had to battle through because we are so ball conscious and trying to be efficient and quickly getting the ball out that when you do recognize I'm going to have a shot here, that's where we got to take advantage of those. And I think they'll come to life more as Bake just kind of feels out his concepts and goes, shoot, man, I love this shot versus this coverage,
Right.
But from week one on, we've been aggressive on the third level of the defense and looking for those opportunities. He hit Mike before the half on a big one in Minnesota, another one against the Bears, up the left side, and might have had a couple more if he hadn't got pushed off the spot, because those ones take a little bit longer. So hopefully they come to life, and when those days click, man, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell like there's going to be there's a lot that's left there, but at the same time, you understand what was gained on that play too, right? And it's about the efficiency. Sometimes you're not always going to be able to get those, but it's about understanding that hey, those will be there and attacking those when you feel like when you got the opportunity to.
That's
One
right.
thing too. So I mentioned the deep game, screen game, something that we haven't seen as much with Rashad White as much. Quick little bubble screen and stuff like that. Is that something that's going to be incorporated eventually into this offense?
I mean, we got screens. We're trying to get them off. They're not getting us much right now.
Right.
We got to keep taking our shots, designing cool screens to put, flat defenders, hook defenders in conflict and try to get those things going. We've been that's part of our offense that we've been just so close, and it's a miss block here, a drop there, for us to be able to say well, let's keep doing it. We have to just keep working through those issues, and we're really close on those.
Just want to ask you about a couple of these young guys. And then we'll get into some fun questions real quick, and I'll get you out of here because I know you got the bye week, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But how much fun is it using DT? I mean,
right?
type of player you're going to be able to just like plan stuff for, specifically
Yeah.
feature plays for him. I mean, he's just so quick, shifty, in and out of his breaks. I mean, you just
he's American Ninja Warrior. Okay, like single-footed front flip or back flip, you pick it. You know, he can do it all. And here's the best part: he doesn't get tired on that stuff. Like he comes just trotting right back. He just ran a full speed, like ran the turn of a 200-meter dash. You know, and like comes jogging back, and he's ready for the next one. So just it's exciting to have a guy who can do that stuff. Trey making the plays that he's made, up in the air and running across the field. I'm excited to see him just continue to expand his role. And the one guy that has a role right now with Rock Jarrett, but he's an exciting route runner. He can do a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, he plays behind a guy who's just Mr. Dependable and Chris Godwin. And it's like, he'll get his opportunities though. He will. And I'm excited to see what kind of role Rock can carve out for him in our offense as well. It's just he really turns it on when he's got the ball in his hands. So I love the young group of receivers.
It seems like there's been a pretty even balance between Trey and DT as far as number 3 snaps, but Mike went out. It looks like Trey took over. Is that kind of the progression that would happen? Is he more of the de facto 3, but that's a lot of split time with DT?
Yeah, and really just think about what we get out of Mike. And Mike is he's 100 miles an hour. He's a big, strong man. I mean, he puts a lot into every route, gets himself open. I mean, if you just watch the tape and just watch 13, he finds a way to get open versus every coverage. It's the most incredible thing, But because he does put so much energy into each of those routes, Trey's going to have his opportunities to go in there as the next X, going in. And that's where Brad's done a great job of just playing Trey from week 1. Hey, okay, let's go. Get in there. And just, being excited about his development and the trust factor with Baker, with Trey coming in that role as well.
And just to jump back over to 14 real quick, he's been a slot guy in this offense for the last 3 years. You're using him at a rate outside that he hasn't seen in the past 3 years in this system. What was it about him that you saw that you're like, I want to use him on the outside? He can come in the slot. He's a hell of a blocker in the slot.
Yeah.
He can do everything. Obviously, he's done it well the past 3 years. But what was it when you're like, I want him on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, think about the Minnesota game, right? Game on the line. Where do you want Chris? 10-yard out route, big body. And it's his uncanny ability to just make the catch. Regardless of where the defender's at, defender could be draped over his back, falling at his legs, 2 guys converging on him. If you throw it right in his frame, right in his sphere, he's so strong to the ball, balanced, his eyes are calm, and he finds a way. Even Eagles game, we had a boot, and Baker kind of throws it out of bounds a little too far. He caught the ball 3 yards outside. It was an amazing catch. We just were out of bounds, but that ability is just that you can count on outside is invaluable, and again, we move Mike in the slot, we move Chris in the slot. You look at all of our third down snaps, the guys, Mike's been at number 1, 2, and 3 in formation. Chris has been at 1, 2, and 3 in formation. And so we're just trying to get these guys the best matchup possible.
Yeah, and you can see that happening. And by all the 3rd and 4th down conversions you guys have made, 3rd and 4th down, Baker's been lights out. What has surprised you from Baker Mayfield that maybe you didn't think or didn't know as far as scheme wise? And you mentioned, sometimes they'll lie in practice, but when the game you really know. What surprised you about Baker in the first 4 games?
Honestly, just pleasantly surprised with his game management. And because you don't really know, I knew he had experience, but you don't really know how is this guy going to get a feel for the good ones have a feel for what's happening on both sides of the ball, and what's the energy and the momentum of the offense and what we're looking at right here, man. We need a spark. I might have to take off, I might have to take a shot here. He's got an amazing feel for that stuff. And it just he gives me a sense that he's just this. He's just an ultimate competitor that he's going to just try to find a way to win the situation and win the game whatever, by any means necessary. And that's been what I've been like excited about, is like, just find a way to win on third down, however that is, with my legs, a scramble, flipping the ball, a last ditch underhand flip, throwing it away is a win in some certain circumstances, So yeah, that's kind of like, that's the stuff that I've been like really thrilled about, is the winner that I get to call plays for.
The flip to Cade Otton in the end, that was great. Just kind of self-awareness. You got hit pretty bad on that play. You must have held your breath for a second there. And then you're right, throwing it away when the refs aren't calling intentional grounding is definitely a way.
Pass the line of scrimmage. Yeah.
You don't have to say it. I'll say it for you. But it's definitely win plays for sure. I mean, you look at it, it's just using, being smart. One thing that's kind of been a little bit of is red zone, right? What can we do better in the red zone as far as, self-scouting, looking at the tape? Like, where do you get better there?
Yeah, just the balance of the run and pass. So, like first couple games, got so excited to get in the red zone, like just wanted to throw touchdowns to the guys. And we had opportunities, and really, it came down to execution. We had good plays. Thad Lewis is my red zone expert. We had great plays designed by personnel and the area and the D&D that in theory worked, and we just missed them. And we just missed another one. And we just missed another one. And then for me, the learning point there is, if you continue to balance the runs in there, right, you'll make yards. If they're giving you cover 2, cover 4, you're going to make great yards. We had a 3rd and 4. We scored a touchdown with Rashad. It's like, hey, you can do that more. You can. Yeah. And so and every year, like for every year we did our like league studies, the best red zone teams in the NFL were the best rushing teams. So like you hand it off to Derrick Henry, he scores. If you get light boxes and 2 shell and they block it right, any good back's going to find the end zone. So just having that reminder, and then it allows you to throw play actions and boots all the way down there. Right. And then you have all your cool passes that you've worked on and designed for the week. But so for me, just having a patience game to be able to balance that.
So bring me all the way back to when you got the job. When you get the job, what's the process of understanding your roster, watching the film, knowing, which players to watch, how long, what season, evaluating their strengths, their weaknesses, how they'll fit in the scheme wise? What is that process like? Because you've got a pretty large roster that you have to get to know, and a lot of film and stuff. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it started up front, with the offensive line. And all those conversations about Tristan going to the left side, could it be Luke potentially going to the right? Is he the guard? Is he the tackle? Is Jensen going to play? If he doesn't, Robert Hainsey played a ton of games, Nick Leverett bringing, the balance in there. We didn't have Cody Mock at the time. So really a lot of the conversation was talking about the offensive line, and I was looking at it player by player, and kind of looking at a group where, like, at any given time in Seattle, there was not really a line that was that much better assembled than the one that we currently have.
Right.
To a man, especially like if you had Ryan Jensen as your thought process there, like, well, I mean, we had some good centers. Max Unger was fantastic, and Ryan is the best center that I've ever been around. So really like was hoping that he could kind of anchor that group. And then, moving on to Hainsey, well, here you got a veteran guy who's been in there, played in a ton of games, can get us directed, and then a bunch of talent around him. And Filer, the veteran guy of the group, is just a big, strong man. So it's like really just feeling like I had a great chance. It's like, look at this O-line. Look at these 2 fantastic receivers that we currently have. Cade, just excited about Cade from the evaluation process from a couple years before. Right there. So versatility, Rashad, like excited about Rashad, seeing him beat us for firsthand in Germany, and so I think, it was like there for me, it was just like, okay, we have enough pieces to be good. Now let's look at how did they throw touchdowns to Mike? How did they throw touchdowns to Chris? What were Rashad's best runs? And it was like, okay, we have all this in the system. So now let's just start teaching it from the ground up. And then it just became about creating installs, training the staff learning it, and then teaching the players, So it was a fun process, and it for sure was some long nights. Brad and I were in there. What are we going to call this now that we're in Tampa? Because a bunch of our words had like Northwest themes, So then that part became pretty fun for us, but it was a grind.
Yeah, I mean, so we're talking, you get the job all the way until pretty much training camp. You're still evaluating it and figuring out that whole process, watching, discovering, and everything. That's a grind, sir.
Yeah, and especially the quarterback deal, and like, think about the if you look at it two ways. So think about all the reps that Baker didn't get with Mike, with Chris. And a lot of people asked me early on, like, hey, wouldn't it be better if you just name a starter? You make up all those, you really get him to learn. I said, yeah, but then what if Kyle Trask is phenomenal?
Right.
And we will never know if we just name a starter. And he ended up showing a lot of people he can play good ball.
Right.
So then for me, it was like a benefit that it strengthens the room. Now you got a guy with experience in these plays through the preseason and camp who's got a voice in the room,
Seen it.
Yeah, but now on the flip side, Baker's still getting his chemistry down with Mike and Chris and Cade and the guys and the young guys. He's still figuring all that stuff out as we go, because he did miss, half the reps as we were going through this competition.
Right. It's a double-edged sword, obviously, for the reasons you get out, and especially, if, God forbid something happens to Baker, having Kyle have those reps and have that chemistry with those guys is exponentially. I mean, we just saw it for a few plays, not to finish out the half when Drew had to come in for Gino on Monday. The guys on that team know Drew, know what he can do, and it's not a crap, we're out of it now. It's all right, Drew can carry us, We know Drew's got our back, so that's a great thing. Switching it up over to – actually, I wanted to ask about the tackles, because I saw you sharing a lot of things about Tristan. Are you mind blown like as much as everybody else is? Because I think everyone knew Tristan was going to be a good left tackle.
Yeah.
All pro level out the bank is so impressive. And then Luke too on the right side. I mean, Jason's got to be so excited. It looks like he's got bookend tackles going forward for the next couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, you got to feel good about that, right? I mean, there's all, you talk about all the good left tackles in the game right now, like Trent Williams, who are the best left tackles in football?
Tunsil, Larry Tunsil, Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to throw him in there in the next breath with the size and athleticism that he brings on that side. Think of like Jason Peters for, but really before he started to get older, like that's what you're looking at here. You're looking at this massive man who's light on his feet, who's trying to be sound in his technique. It's a really cool thing, and then you got Luke over there on the other side, who's fast and strong and aggressive at the point of attack. He can run on the backside to cut things off. Like, it's such a great setup, So I've been really thrilled with them. And honestly, they were here the whole summer. They were here working out, drilling, working their hands, taking their sets, going fishing, hanging out, right back to it. So there wasn't a hey, we're just gonna take a big break here. They weren't. They were working. They were grinding and doing stuff. So
Luke had a couple plays. He was airplaning on Pete Warner. One of them. Pete kind of fell, but he was like, you're not letting him up. And then a nice combo block, and then just to see when he pulls too, how quickly he can get around on the other side. It's really impressive. I was telling Luke and Tristan, they need to start a podcast called Lifting Weights and catching baits or something like that.
No doubt.
Yeah, just fishing, football, and working out because those guys are great. So let's get into the fun portion.
I'm up for that life right there.
Yeah, right. That sounds great. Let's get into the fun portion of this part. Not that this wasn't fun, but this is a fun way to let some of the fans kind of get to know you more, and then we'll wrap this up. It's going to be a rapid fire type situation of this or that, and then favorites. So my first one is, I know you probably don't have much time for it now, but when you did, were you an Xbox guy or a PlayStation guy?
PlayStation.
What was your go-to game?
Oh, just any football game that I could get my hands on. Yeah.
NCAA. 2K football was by far the best football game ever made. It's too bad Madden won't let anybody play.
And, I never got into like Halo and all that. Like a couple of my buddies would have huge Halo parties, but I just was more of I want to play football. I want to use this different team and use the system. Okay, go ahead.
I use their playbook. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
I figured I knew that one. City or country?
Country.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Marvel. Favorite hero?
Wolverine.
Oh, same. I love Wolverine. You got a villain?
Probably Joker, I guess. I don't know.
Joker's good. Car or truck guy?
Truck.
Movies or TV series?
TV series.
What's the best TV series you watched recently?
Heartland.
Heartland? Got to check that out.
Family friendly.
All right, perfect. Star Wars or Harry Potter? Because I know you're a fan of both there.
Star Wars.
The Millennium Falcon. I figured,
Oh, yeah, the Falcon.
Okay, this one's fun. Would you rather an explosive run, so 10 yards or more, or an explosive pass, 20 yards or more?
Oh, pass. For sure.
Rapid fire favorites. Favorite movie?
Pulp Fiction.
Oh, great one. Favorite sports team growing up?
Miami Dolphins.
Really?
I was a Rams guy. They left. I was LA. The Rams were there. They left. I went with Dan Marino, Miami Dolphins.
Okay, that makes sense. Favorite place you've ever visited?
Yosemite.
Favorite food?
Grandma's chicken, arroz con pollo, chicken and rice, green olives. Oh my gosh. My aunt makes it too. My mom can make it. Unbelievable. Chicken wings, grilled chicken wings inside.
Beautiful. That sounds amazing. Actually, I had Yaya on. He said chicken wings was his favorite. This is a controversial one. Favorite cereal?
Ooh, I would say Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch is good. The thing about Captain Crunch is like sometimes it just you're yes, the top of your mouth. It's worth the pain's worth it though. The pain's worth it. Favorite game you've ever watched?
Favorite game? Oh man, it's a heartbreaker, but I was there live. It was Texas USC Rose Bowl. Vince Young, unstoppable. I mean, just because I was there in person and I was pulling for Coach and SC. Lizzie, my wife, bought me tickets. She surprised me for Christmas, and so we're sitting in the end zone. Vince Young just makes everybody miss, walks it in for the go ahead. Yeah, that game was unbelievable.
That's tough. Going with the loss. That's interesting. Favorite color?
Army green.
Army green, good color. Favorite TV show?
Probably Heartland. That's the one we were watching. Yeah.
Favorite sports memory?
Favorite sports memory? Senior year, playing quarterback. One of our league rivals, Narbonne High School. 9 seconds left. 2-minute drill all the way down. Rashawn Sanders, right side. I throw a ball right into the bucket in the back. He catches it for a walk-off. Probably just hope never forget about that moment. And then just like the whole stadium just blew up, and it was amazing. It was really cool.
That over the Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, the Super Bowl was fantastic, but I mean, we're like trying to be poised, and then like we're like, hey guys, Peyton Manning. Okay, everybody just relax. We got to keep playing ball here, and then Percy Harvin takes the opening kickoff for a touchdown. So it was a little bit anticlimactic, but definitely it was cool. But yeah.
My favorite is I talk about this. Yeah, and he's an Atlanta guy. So 28-3. You know him from Boston. 28-3 was my favorite sports memory. Just watching that comeback happen. My other one, we won't talk about that one for you on this podcast.
Worst, least favorite?
No, my second favorite sports memory was Butler at the goal line. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up. But yeah,
We're like undefeated with the lead of 9 or more in second half until that game.
I just saw Marshawn Lynch. He was on a podcast, I think with Shannon Sharp or something, and he had some interesting comments to say. I won't put him on you to comment on those, but yeah, check it out if you can. He's such a character. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a just stop. Favorite dessert?
Key lime cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory's cheesecake is perfecto. Favorite season?
Favorite season? I would say either 2013 or 2014. Because I can't remember which one it was, but one of the seasons was like we won like 7 games that were like could have went either way and just found a way to get it done. It reminds me of like what the Eagles are doing right now, like just scrapping out those close ones. They're finding a way to win games, and it kind of felt like that during that season, like the confidence that we were going to find a way to get it done. Yeah.
I meant like seasons of the year, but that works too.
My fault. Okay. Favorite time of the year season?
Yeah.
Because now that we're in Florida, it's a little different, but I would say in Washington, the fall is unbelievable, and it's cool. The leaves turn colors. The lakes, the rivers, the mountains, breathtaking. And then the rain just kind of makes everything fresh. And I really love that time. You break out all your winter gear, you start bundling up. I mean, it's a special time of year.
Yeah, I'm from New Hampshire, so fall, the foliage. I mean, people come from all over the world to go see the White Mountains foliage. I'm going to be up there next week. My brother's getting married, so I'm excited to go up there. Be in peak season, so I'll be able to get some good food up there as well. Favorite player growing up, and then I got one more.
Favorite player, Dan Marino.
And then the favorite game you've ever been part of coaching.
Favorite game I've been part of coaching. Yeah, kind of hard to beat. It was bad, but then it turned out pretty good. But the NFC Championship against the Packers, because it just kind of gives me a reason to always have hope in a game. Guys, it ain't over. Onside kick, fake field goal, extra points, walk-off touchdown versus cover 0 in overtime. Like everything that you practiced for happened, and it all just happened the right way. So I just think that, for me, favorite because like as a coach, I can say, guys, like even in the Philly game the other night, I'm like, hey, guys, here we go. Defense stops them again. We walk it back down. Like, guys, I've seen crazier things, so it validates it.
That's awesome. Well, Dave, I appreciate your time. We went a little bit over here, but good conversation breeds, just good conversation. So I want to thank you so much for having you on. It's been a blast. I learned so much every time I hear you talk, every time I talk to you. So it's always a great experience being able to chat with you and chop it up. Before you leave, I just want to leave you the opportunity to let the fans know where they can find you. Where they can follow you. I know you do a lot of inspirational stuff on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it nowadays, which is great. And then if you just got a message for Buck fans for the rest of the season, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, just for the Bucs, for Bucs fans, all over. This is an ongoing process. I'm excited about 3-1. If I had to give our offense a grade right now, I would probably say we're out of 10. I'll probably say we're like 6.5, 7, and we're still finding ways to win. And I think the guys know it. We try to be really honest with each other. And so like we're growing into something and we're collecting these moments and these memories through each game. But as we stack them and we put that complete game together, I think Bucs fans are going to be able to know this game felt like a statement game. Like this is who we are going to be. And this is the standard. And I don't think we've had that game quite yet, but the Saints was a good step in the right direction. So
That's awesome. And you guys can follow him over on Twitter, X. It's just Dave. What is it? Just Dave Canales, right?
Yeah.
So, guys, follow him over there. He's always tweeting out some great things. Dave, I want to thank you again so much. Enjoy the rest of your bye week. Any big plans?
Nope, just hang out. My parents are coming into town. We're gonna just go to soccer practice, flag football games, and volleyball tournament, and just kind of hang out as a family. Go all to all the little, dives that we like to get into and eat, and spend a little time at Armature Works and see what they got available for us. So.
Nice. How have you liked Tampa so far? I mean, what has been like your impression of the fans, the people, just everything before I let you get out of here?
Yeah, man, I love it. I just, I'm a Southern California kid, so I'm in shorts and sandals on my way to work every day. That's the way I pictured my job being like that, and to be able to do that here has felt so familiar to me. And then also to just have just all the amenities that available. Great food in the city, coffee, great runs down here on the Hillsborough River, just outside of the house right here. And, just being able to connect with a really multicultural community too. That's something that's important to me as a Mexican American coming from LA, this just melting pot. It has that same feel here in Tampa where you get a flavor of all these cultures together. And that's really important for my wife and I and our kids to have that exposure. And then just a city that knows how to win and expects that. I love being around that, whether it's hockey or baseball or football, just being able to have that kind of good pressure to hey, let's get this thing turned in the right direction. So I love that kind of heat.
Yeah, Tampa, it's a great place, and it doesn't snow here, so that's amazing too.
Oh yeah.
But Dave, again, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoy the rest of your bye week. We'll talk to you this upcoming week when we get the game with press conferences going for the Detroit Lions coming to town. Bucco, Bruce, Creamsicles are breaking out, so that should be a fun game. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you soon, my man.
All right, my brother. Exciting times. Thanks, JC.
Awesome. Talk to you soon. Guys, that's Dave Canales giving us plenty of time to talk about everything, where this offense needs to improve, where it's been, kind of surprising, where it's been moving and gelling as expected. I'm talking about some of his philosophies. It was a great time having him on here. Like I said, I always learn something whenever he's on the podcast, and excited to have him on here and bring that knowledge and let him bring that knowledge to you guys. So that's going to do it for me. We'll be back on Wednesday. I think we're going to have another player. Joe Transchenka is going to be coming on next week. So we're keeping it going with some of these Bucs guests. They've been so gracious with their time, and I want to thank them, obviously, in the organization for allowing them to come on. But that's going to do it for me. So, guys, as always, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Make sure you turn the notifications on. This is another episode of Pirate Parlay on the Sick Podcast Network. We're out of here.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Pirate Parlay on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.